it's Jacqueline, and we are back. We're going to be talking about movement for the next few episodes. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that the 7-minute self-care session worksheet is ready for you to download. This is completely free. If you are someone who struggles in the morning, or you're someone who struggles with, going over the top with things and then falling to nothing, doing that all or nothing approach to movement, to any type of exercise, to running, to training for races. You go all in to train for the race, and then once the race is done, you stop. Or maybe you do this when it comes to your mornings. You're like, cool, I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to start journaling. I'm going to start meditating. I'm going to start writing. I'm going to start reading. I'm going to exercise. You have this idea, you are going to go from 0 to 100, and you're able to do it for a little bit. And then something happens in life and you fall apart. If that's you, the 7-minute self-care worksheet, 7-minute self-care session worksheet is going to help you. With this worksheet, I'm going to guide you through very, very simple habits in the morning. One of them does include movement, but these are really, really simple things. And why 7 minutes? Why not start with 40 minutes or an hour? Because you will always be able to do 7 minutes of self-care time. You might want to work up towards doing an hour, and that's totally cool. That's fine. But I say do 7 to start with, so that when something happens in life, something bad is going to happen in life. It just is. I'm not like wishing bad things to happen to you, but something unexpected is going to happen, because this is life. Something unexpected is going to happen. And I want you to have this really solid system in place, a system for self-care in place, so that when that thing happens, you're like, okay, cool. That's okay. I can do my 7 minutes instead of spending an hour on this, instead of spending 90 minutes on this, instead of completely skipping my 45-minute workout. I'm just going to do this 7-minute self-care session. And that's going to help me feel grounded. That's going to help me feel like I'm taking care of myself before I take care of others. You're going to feel good to go. This is something that's going to really, really help you when you are allowed to travel, when the world opens up again and we can travel. Anything that I'm creating, like, I guess some background information, like, that's my dream. My dream is to not have a home in Chicago where it's the polar vortex all the time, but to be traveling and be out and about. And I know from in the past, when I did not have a clear system for taking care of myself while traveling, I fell apart. It was not a good situation. And so had I had the 7-minute self-care session worksheet in the past, it would have helped alleviate those problems, would have solved those issues that I had, and I wouldn't have gone from all way down to nothing. So the 7-minute self-care session, we're actually going to talk more about it in today's episode. So in today's episode, I want to tell you about how I move my body. And this has come from, again, years. This has taken years. Like what I'm going to talk about today, this has taken years for me to create. I would love for it to not take you as long. Maybe you have been struggling with movement and doing the all or nothing mindset, all or nothing approach for years. Use what you learned today and make it your own. I'm going to say this a million times, but do not try to, these are the 7 things that Jacqueline does. Okay, cool. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and do all 7. No. Start with 1. And I would recommend the 1 song workout is the thing you start with, but like start with 1 and builds up gradually. Once you're like, okay, cool, like that habit is in place, builds it up. Because I think I talked about this in episode 1 of the podcast, right? Like I ran a 5K. I was so excited for that first 5K, and then stopped exercising, stopped doing anything. And then what did I do to get myself to exercise? I signed up for like 4 different races, which is cool. It's fine. It's done. But it was always this external thing that I would use to get myself to exercise, to get myself to move my body. And especially when we look at 2020, races can be canceled. Like all of these external things can be taken away, but you will always have your body, and you will always need to take care of your body, and you will always be able to move your body regardless of what's happening in the world, regardless of all of these external things. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you're doing these habits, you're doing these actions for yourself and not for something external, because all of that external stuff can just poof, it's not there anymore. Okay, so how I move my body. I have noticed From my own experience, and also once I got into cognitive behavioral therapy, once I got into CBT and started reading more about this, it's like, yeah, when I do these activities, I feel less gross in my head. There's less time for depression inducing thoughts. There's less opportunity to just be a jerk to myself. So when I'm doing stuff and I'm staying active, I get to say positive things to myself. So I no longer, how I used to do things was, okay, cool, I need to exercise. I'll sign up for a training plan. Okay, cool, I need to exercise. I'll go work out with a personal trainer. I know there was one time when I was teaching that I used to go see a personal trainer and pay probably like $150 a week just so that I had someone to hold me accountable to working out. But I only worked out like 1 or 2 times a week. And it was only on those times that I went to go see her. The rest of the week, I didn't do shit. Right. So that, that I found just exercising 1 or 2 times a week is not helpful for me. I need to move my body every day. On the days that I am up in the morning and I run through my self-care session, I feel great. I feel great in my body. I feel great in my head. Movement is a part of my self-care. Movement has to be there. I'm doing it for my mental health. I'm not doing it for an external goal. I'm not the strongest person. I'm not the skinniest person. I'm not the fastest person. And I don't really have any aspirations for that. While everyone else is working on those things, and that's cool. And maybe one day I will have one of those be my goal. Right now, especially right now during the pandemic, the only thing that's important to me is that I keep showing up for myself and I keep doing this work and I keep being in my body. And that like that aspirational identity of I'm the type of person who consistently shows up for themselves. That's it. That is what my aspirational identity is. My focus is on my system. So my focus is not on the scale. My focus is not on what my watch says as far as calories burned or the speed that I've been going. My focus is on who I'm being and following through with my system. Yeah. So what this looks like. So I know that I shared on the podcast before about 2 years ago when 2.5 years ago, when we settled back into Chicago, it was like, what are you going to do to move your body now? I was not doing so well. My mental health was not really great. And so I made myself um, take myself for or take the dog for a walk and then take myself for a Jacqueline walk, right? And so that was it. I built up from that. So just the walking. And then I started doing 15 minutes of PT. So I was going to see a physical therapist and I had the physical therapy exercises. I wasn't doing them on my own because I did not have a good system and I did not have an aspirational identity. But I really started to change my life. And once I took responsibility and was like, how can you figure out a good system for this? So I wrote out all the exercises, but and just made myself do them for 15 minutes a day. That's it. But what that did was it started to set the habit or started to set, it was like, okay, cool. I'm a person who can show up every day and I can do this little bit of work every day. So from there, what I started doing was actually 15 minutes of something. And this is what I do currently. And this is what I do with clients. I teach my clients, I'm not a personal trainer, but what I teach my clients to do is how to create a systematic approach to working out, to making sure that they're moving their bodies every day. And so I teach them how to pick exercises that they like, movements that they like, and put them together and then put some music on. So they're not looking at a screen. They're not having to look and see, like, is someone checking up on them? But they're in their body and they're moving with the music they like. And they're, there's this self-efficacy they know to like to push themselves. And they know that on days they're not feeling so great, that just showing up is the win. There are going to be days that you feel like crap and you don't want to do the thing. And then those are the days that you just lay in child's pose for 15 minutes or you foam roll for 15 minutes, or you do ankle circles, or you just stretch or whatever, you do something really easy. So back to what I'm doing right now. So every morning I do 15 minutes of something, whether that is lifting, whether that is stretching, whether that is dancing around, rolling around on the floor, foam rolling, whatever it is. Recently, like in the last 2 weeks, I started adding a little bit more. So before I do the 15 minutes, anything, I do 5 minutes of yoga. So what I do for that is I put on music that I like. And then I put on a 30-second interval timer on YouTube and I've been to a million yoga classes. I know how to do yoga poses. I know I have a million yoga DVDs and Pilates DVDs and Pyo and all of these. Like, I know how to do these moves. So I set the timer for 5 minutes, and then I move in my body and I do whatever yoga poses I want. I'm actually, if I have any goal, I'm working on learning to do a handstand. So that's something cool that I'm kind of practicing in those 5 minutes, just for like a minute or two, practicing that, getting strong with it. What I love about it is that I don't have to look at a screen. I